Hey everyone, um, welcome to the Boring Life, episode one. So actually, this is not episode one. This is actually the third attempt. I want to say the third attempt of me trying to vlog. The first attempt was back in when I was in Vancouver, so end of last year. So I tried vlogging then, and the idea was to make something weekly, talk about my life, and I just never ended up doing it. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna try it again. So I tried it again some early in the year, so you can see that I kind of quit quickly, and then I came back to it, and then I tried making a. So I first tried getting all fancy with the audio, using my podcast equipment to try to sync up the video, and I also tried. I also found an intro music to make an introductory introductory scene for the vlog itself, and I thought, oh god, this is just taking way too long. I just don't have the time for any of this. I don't have the energy for this. Who's even gonna watch it? I just scrapped it, and then I put out the survey. I guess I'll put links to the survey in the comments below. I think this is how YouTubers do it. So I thought, okay, well, let's just send out the survey and see what people like about the podcast. So the survey was about the podcast, and it was also just a thought on, I have a weekly newsletter, and I've been trying to get more, I would say, connected with my subscribers. And so I would just type a quick paragraph on what happened over the week. And I was just curious on, okay, well, would people prefer it if I spoke spoke about what happened in the week instead of just typing it up? Because I know some people consume media different ways. And so I thought, okay, well, let's put out the survey. Let's see how that goes. And thankfully, some of you have replied to the podcast survey as well as the newsletter survey, and both mentioned the vlog. The newsletter survey was specifically about the vlog. Would you like me to do a vlog? Would you watch it if it was just me talking and no theatrical stuff, no nice intro, just me talking? And so that was the point of that survey. And the podcast survey was about, what do you like about the podcast? And I had a few people actually just say, can you talk more about what you do and tell us more about your story? And so I thought, okay, well, that's two different sets of people. Maybe this is the idea to actually go back to trying to start the vlog again. And so here I am. This is my third attempt, and well, my the weekly blog. Right now, it's at essay probably around like 45 or something, and that's been a weekly thing, and that came out on my third attempt. So I had two other attempts a few years ago to try to start a blog, and I finally committed to it. So maybe third time is a charm for me. I have to try things a few times until I actually commit to it. And so yeah, this is my vlog. Long intro, but kind of a windy story. And so I'm titling this The Boring Life for now. And the idea for The Boring Life is very much so that it's very boring. And like how boring it is that I have a 2-hour conversation with my parents, because my parents live in Vancouver. And so every week I call them on FaceTime and we have a 2-hour conversation. And usually I try to talk to them more about what they do in their week, because they are living the life, because I'm not home and my brother is rarely home as well. And they'll ask me, so what have you been up to? And I'll tell them, oh, same shit, different day. Just meeting a bunch of people, doing podcast interviews and writing a lot, reading a lot. And it's the same shit, really. So that's why it's the boring life. I just do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why all my friends call me Old Man Dan, and that's why I started to name my website oldmandan.com, which is also, I have the domain OMD Ventures, so both domains hit up my site. But yeah, I thought yeah, I have a really boring life, and everyone keeps on commenting on how boring it is. But it also made me think, okay, well, generally the most boring things kind of yield the best results. Biased on that opinion, but it's even, I love the mantra that I had at that at my previous employer. More had, not me. They trademarked it. They said, I think our slogan was "Be boring, make money," and I love that slogan, and it still is how I think of myself as an investor, and how I lead my life in general. Like, I take pride in being boring, and so I tell people the everyday moments of my life are boring, but I guess the highlights of it is that I've led a fairly interesting career, and so I think you need a boring process to be able to do something sustainably interesting. And so for the general format, a format that I'm experimenting with now, in I guess my first time experimenting with this kind of format, is I figured I'll just kind of walk you through things I learned this week, the progress I've made on my journey so far. I call it just being in the wilderness now, and updates to my system, and any like specific interesting things that happened this week. And so I'm just going to be talking about the week of April 1st to April 7th. And so the things I learned this week, I'll say the key learnings are in my daily newsletter. Just any learning on being healthy, wealthy, and wise. And so from there, I think a specific thing that pops to mind is the short one, is the fact that most nonfiction books only have 50,000 words. I started the blog because a mentor of mine told me to write a book. He told me, "Oh, if you wrote a book, Dan, I would read it." And so he's one of the partners I used to work for when I was at Deloitte, and I was very flattered. But at the same time, I thought, what would I write a book about him? Would I buy a book written by me? And I thought, I don't know, probably not. I don't know what I would talk about. What unique insight would I give in a big, 300-page book? I can probably type all that stuff out in a blog post, which is what I've been doing so far, just shooting out my thoughts into written form. And that made me think, okay, well, most of my blog posts are around 1,000, 2,000 words on average. Some are like 15 pages, which is close to 10,000 words. And if a given book is around 50,000 words, in a year I'll have enough to make a book out of at the most preliminary rough draft. So that was pretty cool, realizing that, okay, in what has become close to a year now, I have written enough to make something into a book. So that was pretty cool, just realizing that. So that was very fun learning that kind of inspired me a little and got my creativity juices flowing. I think it's something I have been talking about more openly in my newsletter in the past few weeks, but I guess I'll also talk about it here, is that I haven't been feeling miserable lately, which is great. I'm still anxious. I still have anxiety. I still dread sending certain emails to people. I get anxious waiting for emails or messages, like replies. But it's something I've been talking about openly, and it's something I'm actually writing about in more detail in a very long but at the same time meaningfully transparent article that I hope to publish in the future. But it's the idea of, I have never woken up tap dancing out of bed, the proverbial tap dancing out of bed, in the past year. And it's only been recently, I would say during March and also just like late February, whereas I've been starting to feel extremely miserable, like just very miserable. And yeah, I had to, I ended up calling my parents often and catching up with more friends because I just needed to talk to people. I just needed to tell people that I was having a very hard time, because everyone assumes that I'm having a great time. Everyone thinks, oh my god, I'm so jealous. You're fun employed, and I tell people, yeah, I'm fun employed, but it's the hardest thing I've probably ever done. Like, having a job was so easy compared to this, and some of you might get offended, but the reality is it's true. Like, try going off on your own for a year, and maybe you'll do better than me. I don't know. It could just be that I'm just not a very good entrepreneur. I actually don't think I'm that good of an entrepreneur, so that's probably also the reason why. Because this was a period when I actually tried going 100% into OMD Ventures and trying to make it profitable and trying to monetize it and like really focus on the advertising, and it was just so miserable. I just hated it. And that's when Seth Godin's quote just popped into my mind, where he's talking to Brian Koppelman, and he's telling Brian Koppelman about how if you put pressure on yourself, if you force pressure on yourself like that, on you creating your art. So OMD Ventures is my art, and by putting pressure on myself to really have to monetize this and sustain myself because I haven't been making money for a year, that just, I think, made it just so utterly miserable. Like, I was just sad. It wasn't fun anymore, and I also felt I was doing a lot of things I just didn't want to do. I was just getting further away from the key work that I wanted to do. And so that's kind of the nutshell piece on what had happened in the past few months. I hope to write more about it in detail in a future article, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so this week has been great. I haven't felt that, and that has been a blessing. And that translates to how great I feel in the gym. The past 3 months have been terrible for training. I've showed up every day, but it's just been terrible. Like, my weight have all declined. My strength level just shot to bed in its entirety. And my coach and I have been just trying to figure out like what's happening. Why am I not recovering well enough? Like, what's going on? Why does everything hurt? And I find that the gym is actually an indicator for me of something wrong in my life. So if I have continuously repeated bad workouts or bad training sessions, then something's not right. I'm not sleeping well, nutrition's not good, or just my mental state's not good. And I know my mental state was not good the past few months, so I think that was a very big reason for that. And I think the recharge and then the rethinking period I had in the last 2 weeks of March, when I also went over to New York for a break, were extremely helpful, because now this past week, even though I'm doing lighter weight, I just felt more solid. I just felt good. I think after 10 years of doing this, I just know when my body is telling me yes and when my body is telling me no, regardless of what weight I'm moving. So that felt good. Another learning recently has been, I've been looking through the analytics stuff for the past kind of year-to-date period from my website, my blog, or just like the homepage in general. And I'm noticing how Quora, the social media site Quora, is slowly creeping up, or the search engine Quora, is slowly creeping up to be a very good place for me to build up an audience. I think right now, like, I've been recently just getting like a few of my Quora posts like hit big, and a single post had close to, I think, 20,000 views with a ton of upvotes, and that's been driving a lot of traffic, so that's been really cool. And I'm realizing, okay, I think Quora might be a place where I can actually build a bigger community as well. So in terms of just marketing wise, I'm just thinking, okay, that could actually be a strategy. It's not even marketing now, because I'm just answering questions that people have with my own knowledge of career. And what else? The journey so far. Oh, so something new I'm doing is I created a quarterly goal thing. So I've been very obsessed with goal setting, and it's a huge thing I experimented with last year, and I went like intensely detailed. I ran a period where I had like a 10-year, 5-year, 1 year, 6 month, 3 month, and a 1 month goal system, and that did not work. That was not good. I did doubt, yeah. I think that one maybe have lasted maybe a month, 2 months, but it was not a fun thing. And so this time I'm just really simplifying it and doing a quarterly one, because I've set out quarterly retreats for myself throughout the year. So I'm hoping, okay, maybe if I do a quarterly one, maybe it'll be good. And so I'm hoping to achieve this by end of June. It's very much focused on this new path I'm taking of trying to actually essentially just find a job where I can combine my passions for finance and people and try to mesh it in somehow while still having the freedom to operate OMD Ventures. And it's a strategic decision I made where this is a brand I want to grow for 10 years. I tried really focusing on doubling down and monetizing on it. That's just not how I wanted to build it anymore. And so I'm kind of going back on that strategy and going back to a strategy I had probably like early last year, that I'm just gonna focus on, where it's just, okay, find a role where I can do the work I want to do. So that's kind of what the goal is. And yeah, so the first week's been good. I think I've sent around 15 emails this week, so that's been really good. I also had 2 amazing podcast interviews. One was at Wattpad with Aaron Levin. He's the general manager there for Wattpad Studios, and that was really fun. I really wish we had more time for that one. But it's just a high level. It's practically a mechanical engineer goes over to direct movies, and he has an IMDb page of 9 productions. It was just mind blowing. And because it's in the media storytelling space, which is a place that I'm trying to build OMD Ventures into, I was extremely fascinated about that. And then my second podcast interview was with Larry Lau, and he's the he's the founder of 88 Venture Studios, and that was also like a really fun chat. I just loved hanging out with Larry when I first met him, and so this was just a continuation of that, and we just had a blast just talking about everything, and me just learning about what it's like to be an entrepreneur for 9 years and running multiple companies that were successful and selling the company, or selling its ownership in the company, and then going into creating another company which is more like a venture firm that provides like CTO services. And so that was a lot of fun to really learn about, and like also getting into like his angel investing world as well. So that's been really fun. Also because I just have a fascination with angel investing, because I've been trying to get involved in that world as well. And I also had some great meetings, like terrific meetings with Marianne, who is the CEO of Prospect. It's practically the place to go if you want to work at a startup in Canada. And Aubrey, who is the founder and curator of a blog called Do Great Work, where he interviews interesting people and writes up the interview on his blog. And so these two people are just fascinating. Marianne I got introduced to through Martin Hauk from Coinsquare, who was a past podcast guest, and it was a fun, I think close to like a 2-hour conversation on just human capital. And it's just great when you find someone with the like mind as yours, and we're just hitting it off. And so that was a really fun conversation. And Aubrey too was also someone I personally reached out to just because I liked reading about what he was doing, and I was just fascinated to learn more about what he's doing. And so I had a lot of fun conversations this week. I really wish every week could be like this, just meeting a lot of great people, and that's what I'm hoping to create. Updates to the system, so my system. I was going to say my system. I don't think you could see that too well. My system, so every morning I do a journal. Listeners usually know about that, but something I changed with the journal is that I've implemented morning pages. So that's something that Brian Koppelman does, and it's from the book The Artist's Way, I think. And it's about, you just write 3 pages every morning, just brain dump your thoughts. And I had a portion for that where I just wrote down worries and anxieties of the day, and I'll just write maybe a few sentences. But now I've kind of evolved that into, okay, what if I made it into morning pages still on my Evernote? So 3 pages equivalents, like 750 words. Let's try that out. So I tried that when I was in New York, and I just continued doing it. So this is kind of like week 2, week 3 of doing it now, and so far so good. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun, and so if I'm having fun, I shouldn't stop. So we'll just continue doing it every morning and see how that goes. I also changed my morning writing from writing 300 words a day to writing 1 hour a day. So it kind of frees up my mind and lets me be more creative with how I look at certain articles and move things around. And so I'm not really so concerned with the word count as much, and it's just more, am I just spending just time on this article while also having my phone on airplane mode so I don't get distracted. So that's my morning routine. I obviously, being typically me, I wanted to get a little ahead of myself and also make another hour requirement where I did 1 hour investing and just learning more about investing, just anything, just learning about companies in general. And I guess it's been hard, especially because my morning pages takes about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I for some reason it takes me a while. And that's also just other parts of my morning journal routine that I do. And then the 1 hour writing immediately, I just end up sitting on my ass for so long that I think I just get just fidgety, and it makes it hard to concentrate again for another hour in investing. So that's something I've moved to the afternoon, but when I go to the afternoon it gets hard for me to concentrate. So that's something I'm trying to work around. So I'm just constantly staying cognizant of that to figure out where would it best fit, because I want to spend more time on investing as well. I feel like I've neglected it, and so that's something I'm constantly working on, and it's a big focus for the new system. I think other than that, it's kind of, we're at the 20 something minute mark. So I initially intended it to be a 10-minute video, so I apologize for that. I tend to blabber when I talk, and I like to go off, and I have a lot of filler shit. But so this is the first episode. I hope to make it a weekly thing, and it'll be way shorter because I'm not going to talk about all the beginning stuff and how this blog came to be. It's just going to be about what happened this week, going through the summary, and I'm just trying to show you a piece of my life and trying to show you the process, because what I do is not sexy and every day is the same. Oh, and a book I'm reading, it's on my site, but I'm reading this, Maverick by Ricardo Semler. Amazing book. But I stopped it, and I'm also reading a Tony Robbins book called something Giant, Unleash the Giant Within, I think. It's one of his earlier books. Brian Kaufman just loves it, and Tim Ferriss loves it, and so I thought, okay, well, these two people are people I like, so if they both love it, maybe I'll like it too. So I got more naturally drawn to that book than Maverick, so I'm pausing this book for now and reading the other one that's in my bed nightstand. But I don't know, I constantly go back and forth because I still like this book a lot too. So I think that's the update, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want me to do more, just let me know. I'm just gonna keep on doing this for, I don't know, a few months or something, and see, do people care? Am I having fun? If I don't like doing it, then I'm not gonna do it anymore either. So don't ask for edits and shit, because I'm doing this as I'm gonna continue doing this for as long as I can do it, as long as it takes a very minimal amount of work. So given my time constraints of running everything as a solo individual, it's time it's tough to allocate for all these projects. So bear with me. Alright, thanks for tuning in, and just if you have time or if you're more interested, check out my other stuff on my site. Okay, thanks.